welcome to another episode of Horror Movie Night. Scott is continuing his trajectory of which werewolf cult type things. And we are firmly in the cult territory today, talking about not just a cult in the movie, but a cult film with The Void. Scott, this is an interesting pick coming from you, because you are like very on the record of not being much of an Astron 6 kind of guy.
Now, I don't think this is technically an Astron 6 movie, right?
Right. It's from a good amount of the group of Astron 6, right? But no, it doesn't come up on the 5 or 6 production company logos that play beforehand.
True.
No.
Yeah, so I think that this one gets a bit of a get out of jail free card, because it really doesn't have the. I mean, even if it was like considered an Astron 9, 69,
6.
Nice.
6, 7, 6, 9.
Well,
whatever.
there's a new T-shirt for us, Astron 69. Let's get that going.
I'm sure they wouldn't come after us for that. Maybe we could get together and that's the word. Damn, I'm fucking up all the words today. Anyway, I really wouldn't call this even remotely their style of a movie, because it's such a serious film. There's zero humor in it, and I don't think.
I would disagree. I would say that there is humor in it, but not in the traditional way.
Not like knee slapper. I think that there's some sardonic humor in it, though.
I think that this is a little bit more in the for a lack of better comparison, and I'm not saying that this is on the same par as this. This has a little bit more of like an Evil Dead 2 energy of like at some points it's just so gory that it starts to almost become comical. But I agree with you. It's not the outrageous film. I don't know if this is true or not. I think we've all heard this from our buddy Eli, who's creaming his pants right now because he got a shout out on the show. Love you, buddy.
Early in the episode too.
Yeah.
He didn't have to listen to too much. He can shut it off now.
Yeah.
But I know that he's told me on multiple occasions that like this was almost made somewhat out of spite, in the sense of that these guys were like, we're sick of all these critics saying that we don't know how to make a good movie, and they don't understand that we choose not to make a good movie. So we are going to prove that we are capable of making a good movie. We just would rather do like the cheapo weird shit that we like. But like, look, we can do all the things that we normally do and make like a movie that people like.
Well, I feel like that might be apocryphal. I think that might be revisionism, because I feel like this movie. Okay, maybe it's a spite movie in that way, because it's the writer and director, right? So it says written and directed by Stephen Kostansky and Jeremy Gillespie, and then produced by Jonathan Bronfman and Casey Walker. And so Stephen Kostansky and Jeremy Gillespie each have their. It's funny. You click on their hyperlinks on the Void's Wikipedia page, and it just redirects to Astron 6. So I guess that Jeremy Gillespie is one of the co-founders of Astron 6, and then Stephen Kostansky is now an equal partner, one of the 5 equal partners of the company. But so it was founded in 2007, and this movie came out in 2016. So like 9 years into Astron 6's existence. I don't know, like I just feel like maybe they said that in an interview, and they're like, oh, like we can make a movie that's more straightforward mainstream. But I don't. I truly don't see this as like a spite film, because people are like dogging on Astron 6. Like, what did they even have out by 2015?
Well,
they had done
this
Father's
Day.
Day.
Father's Day.
Which
Yeah,
I've
they've done
seen.
Manborg and Father's Day for
Father's
sure.
Day. And they did The Editor, which I've never heard of. Is a giallo.
Oh, that's the giallo one, yeah.
And it's, I mean, Adam Brooks, who is the co-founder of Astron 6, loves to act in these movies. Who did he play in this? He's Ben.
Okay.
Ben is the mute, right? The guy who had his throat cut?
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's Ben.
Yeah.
Why am I asking you guys? I'm the one who's supposed to know this. But
but
listeners, that I don't care about people's names that much in most of these movies.
We don't either. The one thing that I do want to give a quick call out to, though, in the positive category, is like talking about all this Astron 6 parts of it. Like, I'm going to make the Sam Raimi comparison a second time, and we've only been recording for 6 minutes. But watching this movie, though, it is very similar to watching, like, Raimi's Spider-Man, where you're like, oh, yes, this man has taken all of the low-budget trickery that he's perfected and is, like, utilizing it in a completely different way, but it still works. And sure. I think that there's a lot of that here where it's like, oh, like these monsters that we're seeing throughout this movie are not that far off from what you would see in an Astron 6 movie, but they're lit a little bit differently. They're treated with way more sincerity than they are in those other movies. So it's like they took all the skills that they learned making stuff like Father's Day and Mamborg and we're applying it into making like a really pretty decent cult / cosmic horror, Lovecraftian, whatever you want to call it, movie. And people really took notice. This was like a movie that I remember, not that it's the end all be all of journalism, but I remember like r horror on Reddit being all about this movie when it came out. Like this was one where it was like every other day someone was like, oh my God, I just watched The Void and it's so fucking good. Like,
yeah. Well, and you know, I think that, well, we were podcasting by this point, right?
Yep.
So we were doing Horror Movie Night by 2016. So you know, I feel like I probably said that I watched it and I was underwhelmed, and because I bought into the R horror hype, and I was super stoked because I obviously love Lovecraftian stuff, but I was somehow disappointed because I think that it was the denouement, the very end, that final scene in the basement of the hospital that disappointed me when I watched it the first time, because I did not want that. I did not want Powell as the primary antagonist. And watching it now, I'm just guessing at the things that bothered me, because I loved it. This shot up on my list of really good indie horror from the last 10 years. I mean, I know that it's not, people think that. I'm not saying anything that people don't already say. I'm just saying that I am revising my opinion.
But I think that your opinion, and I'm going to give a shout out to a friend on Letterboxd, but I think your opinion is sometimes what a lot of people's first experiences are, because Joey Slater, who's the wife of Matt Milligan of Wheatus, I follow her on Letterboxd, and as I always do, I read everybody's Letterboxd reviews after I watch a movie. And her review, she gave it 3 stars, which I think is about fair. I think I was like 3 or 3.5. But she said,
out of 5?
Out of 5, yeah. Said, I love the first 45. I started to dislike it roughly an hour in, almost completely hated it an hour and 15 minutes into it. By the last 15, 20 minutes, I was looking up recipes for what I would cook for dinner and ignoring the movie.
That's way harsher than what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah,
like,
but
even
I do think that the ending, even for me rewatching it, I get where people are like, ooh, love it up until a certain point.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my least favorite part, and then we'll dive into the plot. The strobe light moment, I was like, I actually have to look away from the screen, because it was like actually
it
was like disorientingly strobe light.
Oh, I loved that.
No, I love the effect. I was just like, I'm actually getting like sick, and I'm not one.
I got a little tummy ache the first time I watched it, and I wonder if that's because I watched it on a bigger screen. I watched it on a I watched the second time. I watched it on my laptop.
See,
screen,
that's the reverse. I watched it on the laptop the first time, and I watched it on a giant TV the second time, and I was like, "Oh, I'm starting to get like a little bit dizzy with a tummy ache." Right?
My first thought during that scene was like, "Oh man, I can't imagine filming that.
Filming
and just,
it?
like,
Oh my
having
god!
to be like firing up that light. Like, go for another take. We're gonna fire this fucking thing up, and you're going to look directly at it.
Yeah,
have fun
multiple
everyone.
times.
Yeah. Jeez, gnarly fight scene, but that lighting was rough. I mean, but those creatures were
the creature.
sweet. This is my first time seeing it.
Creatures are delightful.
Nice. All right, good.
Even behind you, Kyle, you have the cult uniforms, and even those, they're so simple, but there's something unsettling about them.
Yeah.
And I think it is.
I do feel like
it's almost like borderline body bag. Like there's something about it where it's like, oh, that's unnerving in all the right ways.
Right. And it's so, and the full coverage is so alien to Western culture too, right?
Yeah.
Like there is also that part of it too. And then I do think that like, Scott, you go into it, and then
let's
we'll
get
talk
started
more about
on
it
the
afterwards.
plot beats, and then we'll jump back.
All right. So, one thing I want to say before we get into it is that I really like the fact that the whole point of this movie getting made was thanks to Indiegogo. It was crowdfunded, and they raised over $82,000 with 1,000 backers. And so that's almost basically all of the creature effects, I guess. And then the production funding, and I assume any money that they spent on marketing came from like quote unquote traditional channels because of the production company. And I don't know which production company it was that would have been the one to, I guess it was Cave Painting Pictures. I don't really know who they are, but in any case, I just find it very cool that they got almost $100,000 and all the creature effects were paid for by crowdfunding.
Yeah. The other thing, Scott, that I think makes a lot of sense with you really liking this on your second viewing specifically, just based on past episodes that we've done of Horror Movie Night since this came out in 2016, is I saw so many people that kept pointing out like what a perfect homage this movie is to the John Carpenter end of the world, everybody in one location movies like Prince of Darkness, like Assault on Precinct 13, like all those movies that I think we've been revisiting throughout the 10 years that we've been doing this show and being like, hell yeah.
The Prince of Darkness is a good movie train. I was on that movie sucks train, and I've definitely hopped the tracks, and now I'm on the Prince of Darkness as possibly the most rewatchable Carpenter movie for me now, which is very, very odd because it's not his best, but it is the one that I seem to... If you would put me in a room and be like, you have to watch one John Carpenter movie that you've watched before, what are you going to pick? I'd probably say Prince of Darkness. And thank you so much, because now I don't have to use that as my my double feature. But
got your back,
anyway,
buddy.
So thank you, appreciate you. So we open up with a man running out of a farmhouse towards the woods, and being followed by a woman, and she's shot in the back by let's just call them rednecks, and she's laying on the ground, and she's doused in accelerant and lit on fire. We then change view, and it's now the Deputy Daniel. He picks up that guy, his name's James, who ran out of the house, and calls dispatch and says, hey, I got this guy, he's hurt, where do I take him? They say, you should go to this hospital. And he is like, is there any other hospital? And they say, no, unless you want to drive an extra 20 minutes. And he's like, damn it. So he goes to this hospital, and they chain him up because he's acting crazy. You find out that the reason why Daniel did not want to go to that hospital is because his estranged wife, Allison is a nurse there, and the reason they're estranged is because they were having a baby, and it died in childbirth, and so they are split up. There are some other characters, Dr. Powell. There's also this nurse named Beverly who almost immediately degloves her face and says, "This isn't my real face," and then she attacks Deputy Daniel, and he shoots her. That does not kill her. She begins to grow tendrils out of her holes, her face holes, and I think her gunshot wound. She also she murdered she stabbed some guy in the eyes that was in the bed talking to Kim, who is like a new nurse, and she is, I only know her name's Ellen Wong. She's from, oh my God, the lady wrestling, Glow. She was in Glow.
Well, I mean, something that almost more of our listening audience would know her for is that she was Knives Chew in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I forgot about that part. I just recognized her.
She's great in Glow, though. Everyone should watch Glow and cry that we never got that final season that we were promised.
Still
stings a little bit.
Yeah, well, I saw the trailer for the final season of The Bear, and I am loving that we're getting these final seasons of shows because I want to close the fucking book on them.
Yep. You know what? I know I don't need shows to run 10 years. I need them to run a tight 3 to 5 seasons that tell the whole story and move the fuck on.
Yeah. We don't need another Supernatural. I can't believe the Crypt Key actually stopped at 5 seasons of The Boys. In any case, so we have this dead body. Beverly's dead body is now awake. She's a monstrous creature that is trying to attack James, the guy who was he escaped the farmhouse at the beginning and is chained up. She gets shot a bunch of times, but obviously does not kill her a second time. This leads to some other characters showing up. I didn't mention the fact that there's a pregnant young woman named Maggie and her grandfather Ben, who are also there for a checkup, I guess, because she's very close to being in labor. And then
this doesn't help.
Yes, yeah, it does not. No, not at all. So I guess that I missed the part where there's this Stady that shows up. And because he comes to get James because he found the farmhouse, and then there is this fight with James, Daniel, and Mitchell, and they get James out from the Beverly creature, and then the two rednecks from the farmhouse, their names are Vincent and Simon. They come into the lobby. They try to extract James for what he did in the farmhouse. He kills he slashes Dr. Powell in the neck. Ben gets stabbed by a cultist. I forgot, or I'm sorry. Daniel gets stabbed by a cultist, and they're not letting anybody leave. So now this is a one location situation. They try to go out to get Daniel's gun from the squad car, and then Allison goes to the basement to pick up medication for the pregnant Maggie, and she gets snagged by you find out later it's Dr. Powell, who is not dead. He is actually the mastermind of this whole cult situation, which is trying to utilize eldritch gods and a kind of a portal to another world to bring back his dead daughter, who is going to be rebirthed through Maggie. So pretty much anybody that has died in that hospital was experimented on by Dr. Powell, and he says, I honestly, a really, really great line. He says, "They want to die, but I won't let them," which is just very It's so Lovecraftian and so good. But you see later on that they're like basically mutilating themselves. There's one of them that found like a jagged pipe, and it's been like basically smashing its head through smashing the pipe through its head, and it can't die. There are just monsters all over the basement. You find out that Dr. Powell is the father of Maggie's baby, and that she is fully part of the cult, is excited to rebirth Dr. Powell's child. Daniel has to decapitate Allison because she has become like tendrils have come out of her like stomach, and it's kind of like this odd, disgusting
great room scene.
Ovarian
like,
type.
Great,
that
effects.
scene is so good. And so it's eventually they see the rebirth of Powell, who has now ripped off all of his skin. They see Powell's daughter reborn as this horrifying monster out of the stomach cavity of the young pregnant woman who dies, and the monster starts clomping around.
Just like your average, like 7-ish pound baby.
Yeah,
nothing to write
700-ish
home
pound
about.
baby. I love the look of these monsters. They give me very much. It's funny because when Annihilation came out, everybody would talk about the demon bear, right?
Yeah.
And they look so much like it, but they definitely predate it, right?
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
Annihilation was what,
And thank you. I
2018,
was
19?
trying to nail down where I feel like I had seen the Void monster, but I was like, I've never, like, there's no way, because I didn't know anything about really the movie going into it, and I was like, but I've seen that fucking thing before, and I think it's Annihilation. I think the comparisons to Annihilation.
It's very much Annihilation, and Annihilation was 2018. Yeah. Although the book would have been earlier, but the Demon Bear does not really. That is almost entirely, if I remember my two readings of Annihilation, which is, they're both like a fever dream. Delightful book, one of my all-time faves, but the movie is its own thing, and I don't think that the Demon Bear was in the book. Anyway, she's clomping around. She gets absolutely torched by Simon is the mute. I'm sorry, Ben, who is one of the guys that is the Astron 6 guy, right? That's Adam or Jeremy Gillespie, or Adam Brooks. Adam Brooks, who is one of the equal partners, but yeah, he plays Ben, so he plays the older man, the quote unquote grandpa of the pregnant Maggie. Anyway, the whole thing is kind of like that Faustian bargain that Powell is saying, this is the end of death because I'm going to let these monsters into our world, and they're going to basically make it like a hell where no one dies, but it's also like a paradise where no one dies because Powell is insane. And Daniel says no, and he basically sacks Powell through the portal into this other world, effectively closing the portal off, closing that other world off, and the hospital basically is going to burn down and finally and crumble, and all the creatures inside of it. But then you get this kind of like zinger scene, which is you see Daniel and Allison alive on the other side, and kind of like looking up at this the triangular monolith that the cult worships. And I could truly have done without Powell being the bad guy. It just felt a little too much like putting a bow on a very messy present. Didn't need it. The present didn't need it. But all in all, I would give this 4 out of 5 stars, which I would have given it 2 out of 5 stars the first time if I was letterboxing, you know?
I think I like I just had a little bit of a trouble with, like, I wanted more through line for like the cosmic horror. I wanted a little bit more, maybe it's just because I wasn't quite expecting the cosmic horror of it all. to quite happen. I know that's weird, but it's like the monsters come and I don't immediately think cosmic horror. I do think there's like obviously something supernatural or body horror. Something's going on.
You're seeing more body horror, yeah.
Right, yeah. So then when we get to that point where we're looking through the void, or that we've made this hell, I'm like, oh, Lovecraftian. And then we get that last that ending that I was just like, oh, well, we're not going to go back and see these people in the void. I don't need to see them there now. We're not going to go pay them another visit in another movie or anything. But otherwise, I mean, pretty gnarly, really, really gross, and pretty nasty little flick here. It was good.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm really glad that I went in hoping that this is how it was going to happen for me. At least I was like, I really hope that I have kinder eyes when I watch it this time, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I really do think you could watch it with anything. Lots of different things. There are lots of different things you could watch this with. That would be a very fun double feature. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have too.
At ZocDoc, we know being a healthy adult is like living in a video game. Every day has side quests, taxes, laundry, birthdays, and just when you're leveling up, you have to book a doctor. The insurance portal crashes. They put you on hold. Your doctor doesn't take your plan. Game over. We see you, so we made booking a doctor easy. Download ZocDoc. Search by specialty, insurance, and availability. Book instantly. No cheat codes required. Find a doctor you love with ZocDoc.
Are you troubled by trying to find a great movie podcast to listen to?
Do you experience a love for monster movies from the classic Universal era to the modern creature features?
Have you or your family ever watched episodes of Elvira, Monster Vision, or Svengoolie?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Open up your podcatcher and search for the professionals. The Monster Rally Podcast.
Our hilarious and asinine hosts have an ever-growing library of episodes for you to listen to 24 hours a day to serve all your monster movie needs.
We'll talk about it.
Well, I will kick it off for us. Now, obviously, Prince of Darkness is the first thought that I had, but I kind of assumed that it was going to come up in conversation. So I thought, I got to go a little to the left. And so I settled on Glorious. Remember Glorious?
Yes.
Cosmic horror
Rebecca
glory
McKendry?
hole?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I loved that movie. And I feel like it's very scrappy. It's got that. They're both very, very indie cosmic horror. And I think that when you can do an indie cosmic horror well, it really plays to the strengths of what weird fiction and Lovecraftian horror lose when there's a big budget involved. Because when there's a big budget involved, I think that there's a table of people who decide, okay, we have to have this trope and this trope and this trope. And I just feel like there's a really great line, maybe it's a very thin line where that makes something great, where if you have to kind of hide the edges of the cosmic horror, that's what makes a cosmic horror, because the whole concept, the whole conceit of it as an entire subgenre is it's an impossible situation. It's an impossible horror. And so and human minds cannot, I've always hated the Lovecraftian trope of the horror was so great, just looking upon it turned the character insane. I hate that. Barker did a little bit of that back when he was writing stuff that I liked, but oftentimes he was really giving the smaller details. I mean, when Lovecraft does that and did that in his actual material and his contemporaries did, I think that's when it shines, because you are given enough rope with which to hang yourself, like in your imagination. No, that's a really good point. Cosmic horror is a challenging thing. What about you guys though?
I'll let you go first, Kyle, because it'll blow my mind if you take the same one as me.
This is tough. I have I have 3 written down, and I have the 4th in my head that I didn't write down, but I think I'm going to go with it upon us talking. I'm going to go with From Beyond.
Okay, thank God.
I think they're like
From Beyond the Void.
Yes, From Beyond the Void.
Matt, you had kept mentioning Raimi, and to me, like the Gordon, like especially when we were talking a little bit about the humor, I was like, oh, that also feels very like Stuart Gordon too.
That's actually probably a more appropriate comparison.
Which is interesting because of like the Lovecraft and cosmic connection, the Lovecraft connection that exists here. I don't know, it's just interesting. So that's one of mine, but I'm interested. What do you got, Matt?
Mine is going as far away from H.P. Lovecraft as possible. Well, not that far. Scott, you made a shout out to the author of this. I landed on Hellbound Hellraiser 2.
It definitely has a lot of Cenobite
the hospital
vibe.
setting,
yes.
the doctor being the villain, the like Inside Out people. Like there was just a lot of imagery. Scott, I know you were going down, and I'm trying to remember if you had mentioned this specific part. You obviously talked about the crowdfunding budget. Did you mention where Jeremy Gillespie got the idea for this movie from, though? Because
Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
So
really?
I would have never have thought that when I watched it.
He apparently was like somewhat involved in working on that At the Mountains of Madness movie that never got done.
Not ever get done. Yeah. Did you also see
the trying to do Lovecraft on a big budget?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, think about, if there's anybody
who could do it,
I do trust that Del Toro could and would. I think he would still fall into the trappings that you're talking about, Scott, where it's like, then you're going to have things and people and tropes that want to be seen, and like you have the money to do it, so like then you're going to add it, and does it do anything for the story?
It would be beautiful, but I feel
doubt.
like it would be lost in its own beauty, which is what, I hate to say it, that was Frankenstein for me last year.
Yeah,
or
no, I agree.
Year,
Frankenstein cleaned up on visual awards, and that is all it really deserved. Because it really was like, oh, this is the set design, the visual effects, all fantastic. The story, I was just like, get fucking moving. Like, I'm so bored.
I worry, though, that's us knowing that the plot beats are just so well trod. It's why we don't need another Dracula movie. We don't need another Frankenstein movie. We can have interpretations.
I'll take another creature.
Fuck yeah, no, that's fine. Like,
I'll hit me with one of those. Throw Brendan Fraser up against another mummy any day of the week. But yeah, I think I'm tapped out on Dracula.
Did you see that a lot of the people that worked on this, on the special effects, came straight from working on Goyer's Suicide Squad?
Well, that was the other thing I was going to say is it was described as the crowdfunding helped a bunch, and then the other thing that helped was that both directors worked on Suicide Squad and just saved their checks to put towards
and they also did all of the special effects in-house, which is probably going to save them a large amount of money.
100%.
That's huge,
now that we're kind of a little bit past the double feature section, I want to just shout out the fact that the number one critique that I remember having the first time I watched this movie was that it felt like that final scene is aping Event Horizon too much. And my least favorite part of Event Horizon is when we have like basically this
human villain suddenly.
This human villain who is like no longer human, stalking people in the ship.
Scott, would you describe him as more human than human?
Or less, Matt. I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, we have to get our guest panelist Rob Zombie to weigh in.
He seemed like a real astro creep to me.
Oh, an Astron creep.
Wow.
Also, just pitching this idea out there. Is there anything we can do with the Love Boat mixed with Lovecraft, like a Cthulhu attacking
we're going to do
a
the
boat?
Lovecraft connection, which is the Rainbow Connection, but it's going to be
just a
it's gonna
Kermit
be the color out of
Cthulhu playing a
space.
banjo with all of his tentacles.
Yes, I made a note for after the episode that I was gonna. Okay, I'm glad we did it on air, so it's gonna hold us to it.
There we go. Hey, you know what? One day that shirt will be ready for anybody to purchase on hmnpodcast.dashery.com. You can support the show at patreon.com/hmnpodcast. Literally tomorrow is your last day to get listener submitted options in. And you know what? You may have even missed the mark, because sometimes Scott likes to just jump right into it mid-July when we're on our break. Me or me, I don't know. Look, we got a lot of free time when we have our summer break.
It ain't me, I'll tell you that.
That's true.
And I can be your favorite host. It's fine.
hmnpodcast@gmail.com to send those listener submitted emails to us. And of course, on all of our socials, we are HMN Podcast. Scott, what is something that you listened to, read, etc., that you want to talk about?
I want to talk about another book. Since we're kind of talking about...
I also have a book.
Oh, I love it. I have what people are considering a novella, and I'm interested, just a little quick aside from you guys, what do you consider a novella, like by page number? Is it anything less than 200?
Or less. Yeah, 200 or less is like my go-to.
Okay, this is 185.
I think even I think even like 150 and under, but I would understand that like 200 and under makes the most sense.
I'm just like
but
thinking
I also
to myself,
don't know how to read.
Oh,
so.
well,
Yeah,
okay, so I just looked it up. The Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association defines a novella's word count as being between 17,500 and 40,000 words. At roughly 250 words per page, this is roughly 70 to 160 pages in total.
Must just be this. So this is 181 pages, as far as I can tell, but it must be just below what would be considered a novel. But it is great. It is called Ring Shout, and it is by I'm probably going to say his name incorrectly, but his nom de plume is P. Jelly Clark. He is actually a historian. He's a professor of history at University of Connecticut.
Let's go UConn.
Yeah. I actually checked on a map how far away that was from your town. So about an hour. You could go up and say hi.
Anything is about an hour from me in Connecticut.
Yeah. And it's funny to me that Connecticut is about an hour and a half long. So almost as far as you can get in Connecticut. But it is... set in 1922. It is basically so it's in Macon, Georgia, and it's these African American women who are killing Ku Klux Klansmen because the Ku Klux Klansmen are not actually human. They are kind of possessed by these other extra-dimensional monsters, and there's some body horror in it. No, it's a fiction book, but it was a really fast read. I read it in a day and a half. Easily, I could have finished it in a day. Not one sitting, but very, very good. Give it four and a half stars on Goodreads. I can't remember what I did. I think that is 4, but I think that you can't give half stars. Anyway,
I wish you could.
What was it called? What is it called again?
If I could write one note to Goodreads, it's give us half stars, because some books aren't bad enough to get 3 stars, but they're not good enough to deserve 4. And you need
so
that
that's why
star.
The vast majority of my stuff is a 3-star, because I'm like, you know what? I didn't hate the read, but this is more of a 2.5. Star book. Like I read a lot of 2.5-star books, honestly, but this I'd consider 4.5. Very, very fun, fast read, and it was written in a dialect, and had a second dialect in it as well, and I found that very immersive. I looked at some of the Goodreads reviews, and some people found that to be a bit jarring, or they felt like it was kind of like a writing tool they didn't like, but I mean it worked for me, so it was pretty fun.
I'll go next, since I'm also talking about a book here. If you guys remember, about a year or two ago, I watched all of One Tree Hill with Barb.
Oh, yep.
And I picked up the memoir by one of the stars of One Tree Hill, Bethany Joy Lenz, and it's a perfect double feature connection, whatever, with this, because the book I read by her is her memoir, Dinner for Vampires, being the star of a cult television show while being in a cult. And it was about how she was in this religious cult the entire time that she was filming One Tree Hill, and they stole like $2 million from her, forced her to marry the son of the cult leader, like had her sign her bank accounts over to the family to fund their it's like a harrowing story. But
do you happen to remember the name of the cult?
She does not give the specific name in the book. So the reason why it's called Dinner for Vampires also is for as she says in the beginning of the book, I still care about a lot of the people who are still stuck in this cult. I don't want to out anybody, so I'm using fake names. She uses all names of literary vampires to describe everybody in the cult. So like there is like one of them is named Lestat. Like it's just like various things like that. But it doesn't. She's a celebrity, and people were already like, I think this girl's in a cult back then, so it's pretty easy to figure it out. It was not a huge cult. It was called the Big House Cult. And she gets into like, basically it was just this family that owned a house, and it started as a Bible study, and then it turned into like, we're gonna buy this hotel and we're gonna convert people inside the hotel, and everybody's gonna work for free at the hotel, and like now we're gonna buy a restaurant and we're gonna feed the poor. But it was like all just like they were funneling money to, it was, I would say 50% cult, 50% like pyramid scheme, taking advantage of people's religious leanings. But what she talks about is like at one point for the longest period of time, it was like, we have to grow the family. And she was like, and then one day he was like, I got a vision from God, and we have enough members in this family, so we're not expanding the family anymore. And then you get to the end of the book, mild spoiler, when she was trying to get custody of her child, she had difficulty proving that she was in a cult because they were one number shy of what the legal classification of a cult is. Like, he was smart enough to know what legally constituted a cult and was like, oh, it's like, let's say it's 40 people. He's like, we're at 39. We cannot let anybody else in here, or they can come after us for being a cult.
That's crazy. That's way too prescient, in my opinion, for like a true cult. So it's just money laundering.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's interesting, but I was like, man, like I cruised that book in like 4 nights because I was just there was part of me that was like intrigued, and the other part of me I was just like, I just need to get where this person is okay. like I know she's writing it, so I know she's okay. I need to get to where she's okay. But yeah, I recommend it. You definitely do not need to give a shit about One Tree Hill at all because she barely talks about it in there. But this girl ties back to Horror Movie Night. She's the daughter from Thinner. That was one of her first acting roles.
Yeah.
Was the daughter in Thinner, and she talks very briefly about that. And then throwing it to Christian Cringe, her first acting role was in Salty the Psalm Book, which is something that we watched for Christian Cringe.
We love Salty. Love Salty.
So, Kyle, we'll throw it to you to wrap it up.
Yeah. I watched Larry Cohen's Special Effects from 1984. I kind of watched it thinking that it would be something for the show. It's not, but it still allows me to talk about it in this section of the show. It's fine. Larry Cohen is really also very good at thrillers. You know what I mean? Like and I think that might be stating the obvious, but I think in our neck of the woods, we focus so much on his excellent horror stuff when he writes and directs, sometimes both at the same time. Some really, really solid thrillers. This one's interesting because it's a movie. It's kind of a movie about the making of a movie where there is a filmmaker who is sort of down in the dumps, and then there is a actress who gets found out by her boyfriend, partner, the father of her child, who she's kind of abandoned and went to New York away from her family. He tracks her down. Then she gets killed that night by this filmmaker, who then kind of gets into this a little bit of like film noir, but also like mistaken identity, where things kind of keep happening in favor of the killer filmmaker to be able to get away with this and to be able to like continue to try to even shop around. Like he ends up being like, I know I was the last one to see your partner, like let's make a movie about it. So without saying that he's the killer. So then they like try to find somebody who looks exactly like her. They find a doppelganger and they try to recreate the movie, like recreate the scene of her death in this movie. It's very weird. It's also not, it's kind of clunky as far as the acting goes, but it works in its favor by the end of it. But it is a little bit of a slog to get there. It's an interesting installment in Cohen's filmography.
Well,
but it's not good for the show.
He's one of those interesting ones because he's like, I would describe him as that perfect in between from like a Roger Corman to a Lloyd Kaufman. You know what I mean? Like he has a lot of that Roger Corman, like scrappy filmmaking, and also like every genre under the sun, right? Like he does horror, he does thriller, he did comedy, like he would do whatever. But I think he's I think he leans more in the Lloyd Kaufman side of like probably a much easier person to work with than Roger Corman was. So he is like that. Him and Charles Band are like right in that dead center of like halfway between these two ends of the spectrum of like iconic independent filmmakers.
Right, and he was just making shit. It was, and he was able to pull from that New York art scene too, and like theater scene that I think
we need to do a few more of his things. I'm looking here and like just reminding myself like we haven't done It's Alive 1 or 2. We haven't done Maniac Cop 2 or 3. We haven't done Q, the Winged Serpent. Like
we did.
Wow.
We
did we do Q? We did do Q?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we did The Stuff, which is such a home run.
Did we ever do God Told Me? I don't know if God... I mean,
and I don't
that's
think
the other thing. Like,
God Told Me is genre, but I wouldn't really consider it right for...
We did do one that he wrote, which was Uncle Sam, which is a real blast.
Hell yeah. We should go back.
The other thing that's a real blast is listening to Horror Movie Night every Thursday night or Friday morning on your podcasting apps. And the best way to do that is by liking our feed, subscribing, and you know what? Maybe even telling your friends about us. We'll be back next week with more Horror Movie Night.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.